Hello everyone. A few days ago I was going to make a video about the upcoming Pleiades alignment and the impending earthquake that I was anticipating. As you can see, the clocks were charging and we got to the 17th and we're on a definite charging sequence, which means on the next alignment you can anticipate an earthquake. And of course then we did have an earthquake about three and a half hours after that alignment, but I never made the video. And why didn't I make that video? Well, I had a problem, you see. And the problem was I still needed to understand exactly what had happened back here. I needed to understand what happened back here on September 15. See, we had a 7.3 at 1931 UTC in the Fiji region, but that was preceded also by this one in Cuba, which was originally, this is a 6 point something, and a 6.2 near Japan, and a 6.0 in New Zealand. And of course, a few hours before that there was a 6.1 in Alaska. Well, these earthquakes do not really fit with Elenin. They do not fit with the pattern if Elenin was the cause and the regular discharge alignments. So this had to be resolved, and I spent the last 3 days going over this, and this video is going to be about my conclusions. And unfortunately it's not good news. But before I get on to that, I need to first talk about the next major earthquake as a demonstration of how these earthquakes do occur on particular alignments between the Earth and Moon and objects that are further away from the Sun. In this case it's going to be Orion. The Moon will come up to alignment with Orion, and the object is somewhere to the left of Orion. And that would normally occur on this line here, but according to the clocks we appear to be charging at quite a significant amount. So this is going to be a bigger than normal earthquake, which means it will probably go off early. So because of that, I would suggest the time could be as early as 2 p.m. UTC time on September 20, 2011, and it'll be a magnitude 7 plus. Well, it could be downgraded a little bit if it's too close to the United States. For political reasons, all these earthquakes near the United States get downgraded. If it's somewhere in the Pacific, it won't be downgraded half as much. But it should be a magnitude 7 plus, and hopefully it'll be away from a populated area. But it's a game of Russian roulette with these things. There's no way that I know of to actually predict exactly where it is, but I'm sure if there's enough research is put into this, it would be possible to actually pinpoint the location as well. Okay, so the latest for this earthquake would be on September 21 at 2 a.m. So that's pretty much a 12-hour window, but I'd say it's going to be closer to 2 p.m. on the 20th, because the clocks seem to be charging, and they're charging at quite a rate, which means this earthquake is going to go off early. So this is just as a demonstration purposes only, so you know that I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just making this stuff up. Early on in the Elenin saga, it did seem a reasonable hypothesis that Elenin was the cause of these major earthquakes. For example, February 27, 2010, we had the alignment between Elenin, Earth and the Sun. And as the Earth passed between Elenin and the Sun, we had a major earthquake. And of course on March 11, 2011, we had the same or similar situation where the Earth passed between Elenin and the Sun, and we had a major earthquake. And then again, in between that, we had the Christchurch earthquake in New Zealand on September 4, which occurred when Earth was in opposition to Elenin. Okay, but there are other alignments that occurred on these dates as well. For example, the Sun-Jupiter alignment is actually also falls on this date for the Chilean earthquake, and of course for the Japan earthquake on March 11 of this year. That occurred on the Pleiades alignment, the same as the Indian earthquake just a few days ago. If I zoom in on that, you'll see it's actually a perfect match for the Pleiades alignment. It occurred exactly on that date, and subsequent earthquakes happened a little bit after. But of course there were earthquakes building up just before that alignment, and this is all before the Elenin alignment. So I'm starting to look at this and thinking, well, Elenin's arriving on the scene a little bit late. If it's the cause of these events, then when it's closer to the Sun, you would expect it to actually be more precise. The event wouldn't actually occur so much earlier. By the time the Elenin alignment did occur, everything had pretty much dropped off, and we've got the Orion alignment, which is not long after it. And of course on the Orion alignment there are earthquakes on these 2 days, which is around the Orion alignment, but it's significantly less than would expect if that was Elenin was the case. So that's one problem I've got. And of course another problem I have is with the clock speeds. As a result of a story from the Associated Press at the end of June, where they were claiming clock speeds would change as a result of alterations to the frequency of power delivery in the United States, and that would affect digital clocks. Well, I knew that was actually wrong, because digital clocks are actually based on a quartz crystal, not on the frequency of power delivery. Unless you're using a clock built in the 50s, this would be the case. So I decided to set up a clock experiment, and sure enough, the clock speeds have been changing, and they appear to be correlating to parallel alignments between the Earth-Moon system with Elenin's tail as it went round the Sun. But two problems here is the interval seems to be getting shorter and shorter, and Elenin's going around the Sun in an anti-clockwise direction, and the Moon goes around the Earth in an anti-clockwise direction. But as Elenin accelerates round the Sun, the interval should be getting longer, because the tail would be keeping pace pretty much with the swing of the Moon around the Earth. But instead it's the opposite. The actual interval is getting shorter. So that's one problem. And of course the other problem was 2 weeks ago, when the clocks just jumped 20 seconds. Just for no apparent reason. In fact, this is more than 20 seconds. This is 10 seconds each one of these. This is almost 30-second jump in one day for one of my clocks. And then we had another change a few days later. So that needs to be explained. And Elenin cannot provide a satisfactory explanation for that either. So to help me visualize what might be going on, I decided to look at the 188-day cycle. And that refers to the interval between some of these major earthquakes over the last 2 years. For example, the 8.8 in Chile on February 27 of 2010, the 7.0 in the South Island of New Zealand on September 3rd of 2010, the magnitude 9 on the east coast of Japan on March 11 of this year, and of course the magnitude 7.3 in the Fiji region on September 15, just a few days ago. What we're looking at here is a top-down view of the solar system, and on it we're going to plot a line between the Sun and the Earth on each of these earthquake alignments. The first one, of course, is February 27 of 2010, which is the earthquake in Chile. Next, the earthquake in New Zealand on September 3rd of 2010. Then, of course, there's the earthquake this year in Japan on March 11 of 2011. And most recently, we got the earthquake in Fiji, which was on September 15. Now the first thing you'll notice about this diagram is it's not symmetrical, even though the interval between each side of the Sun that the Earth is on is approximately 188 days. So it would seem it takes longer for the Earth to go from this side of the Sun to this side of the Sun, and it travels faster going from this side of the Sun back to this side of the Sun. It's almost as if there must be something on this side of the Sun pulling on the Earth, holding it up as it's trying to get round to this other side of the Sun, and then pulling it back around again. And there's the problem. Elenin doesn't fit with these alignments. Elenin could not have caused the Fiji earthquake, and the Fiji earthquake occurred on an alignment that fits with the 188-day cycle, but doesn't fit with any other than normal alignments for earthquakes. That would suggest that the Fiji earthquake was caused by an object still on the other side of the Sun. So what could it be? Well, it have to be something massive for it to cause the Earth to take longer to get to the other side of the Sun than it does to return back to this side of the Sun. And given all the earthquakes, the volcanic activity, the strange weather, the problems with the Sun, it would seem that must be approaching us, and given these alignments, it would seem to be on this kind of trajectory. So how close is it? Well, that's hard to say without a telescope out in space. However, someone did film something just 6 days ago, which I think might indicate exactly how close it is. This video is filmed by a gentleman living in North Wales on September 14, 2011, looking at the object about to pass behind a cloud. The object's right next to the sun is behind a cloud. If you want to see the original video, please visit his channel, ildvs47. This object would appear to be approximately where Nibiru should be at this moment, looking at the earthquake alignments. This is a good candidate for the real object, not Elenin, not the decoy called Elenin. This is the real deal. Everyone's eyes are wide shut, but this is the planet of the crossing. This is what it does. It crosses by the sun, symbolized by the cross. That's why it's called Planet X, planet of the crossing. This is Santa Claus, the red and black, eyes wide shut. The Bennu, the phoenix, the eagle. This is what you see on the back of the dollar bill. This is on the front of every government building in the world. This is on the front of every motor car ever manufactured. This is the wing disc. This is the red dragon. Here it is. Nibiru seems to have returned. It should be, my guess about its trajectory is correct, it's still curving round the sun. Let's pull up this chart. It should be coming round here, this part of the sun here. As the Earth is moving up, it's going to disappear behind the sun again, perhaps to reappear over the top. That would match with what they've been telling us about a supernova, this M101 business, somewhere north of east. Time will tell. We will know in a couple of days. Okay, so everyone be safe. Take care. Start preparations if you haven't, because time is short. This thing crosses over the sun. Well, the electrical phenomena could be totally devastating. And then it heads towards us. That's pole shift. Full on pole shift. The Earth travels round the sun, and if this thing's coming on a regular cycle, every now and then we're in the wrong spot. The Bennu story has it coming on a 500-year cycle. This is from Egypt. This is from Herodotus. Discussions with the priests. The Bennu comes to rest on the obelisk every 500 years. And the obelisk, top of the obelisk bursts into flames. Well, we know now why it would burst into flames. Because of electrical discharge. And then the Bennu flies off into the sun. But of course, this time it appears to be flying out of the sun, doesn't it? So, okay, we've got to make preparations. I'm not sure if I'm going to make many more videos. I don't have enough time at this moment. I don't think you have enough time to watch any. It's time to start doing whatever you need to do. I think find a mountain, find a cave, protect your electronics. I don't think they're going to survive anyway. Metal is probably going to become extremely dangerous. Metal will probably set things on fire. Munitions will explode by themselves. It's not going to be good. So take care, everyone. yeah, and if I get a chance, I will make another video. I'm trying to film this thing myself, but I think I've already missed the opportunity. I think it's actually now back behind the sun until it actually crosses the sun, which is going to be really bad news. Okay, I can't stress it enough. You're going to have to find a cave, find a mountain. If you're not on one of those duns, and I'm not sure if I would want to be either, but anyway, some people are. NASA's off to Denver. They've got their big show on in Denver, so I guess a lot of celebrities will be there, a lot of scientists will be there. Obama's going to be there. I guess they've got the international airport there, they've got the Duns there, they've got Iron Mountain, NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain, and a complex underneath Denver International Airport with those murals, which you should know about by now. Okay, so that would seem to be that. This is what it all was building up to, wasn't it? Okay, so take care. I don't know what else to say. Be strong, be safe, take care.